How's it going, YouTube? Just a disclaimer. I realized that this video is actually super unorganized. A lot more than I wanted it to be. But, I was gonna have the video be mostly scripted just so I knew what I was talking about, so I wouldn't have to be jumbling around my words. But I thought it would be a lot more genuine, I guess you would say, if it all just came off the mind. And that's what I did. So even though I probably should have had like a outline at least, so I can hit specific points, but this video was gonna be all over the place anyways, just because the subject was about me, it's about incels, and it's about one-itis. And I thought it was going to be very easy to mix together, at least the parts about me and the incels. But I realized not really, even though there were comparisons to draw, it wasn't one-to-one like how I thought it was. But I still took what I learned and still applied it to helping incels. And sorry it took so long. This video was supposed to be done last Sunday, but I'm honestly glad that I pushed it back because I found new things to talk about that I felt helped complete this video. And I realize it is a little bit longer than I expected, but I hope you guys do enjoy, and I hope you guys stick around for the whole thing. So before we get started, just gonna give some background information and some definitions on some things, just because I know if anybody that has no idea what the incel community is will have no clue what the hell I'm talking about. So just to give some definitions real quick, an incel is basically just a person who for whatever reason can't find a sexual partner. Usually it's because of how they look, but there are other reasons why they think they'll never be able to get laid or get a girlfriend, but that's not important for now. That's basically what the gist of what or who an incel is. The next term is a Stacy or a Rebecca or some other type of girl name. Basically that's like a I guess you would say like a 9, like 8, 9, or 10 on like an attractiveness scale for girls. I'm not really sure why they decided to pick that. I guess it does make it easier to just say a name and everybody knows what it is instead of saying an attractive girl like every time. But on the opposite side of that, you have what they call a Chad, and a Chad is just basically a dude that's like superior genetic wise. Basically anything you can imagine to be perfect on a guy, that's what a Chad is. And they have like zero difficulty in getting a woman. They can get any woman they want, and there's a lot of other things that go into it, but that's basically the gist of a Chad is. And then the last thing I want to mention is I've seen it tossed around here and there. I don't think it's like a huge thing that they use, but I've seen it being tossed around. It's like a normie, I guess you would say, and basically it's just in between an incel and a Chad. It's just basically what it says, just like basically a normal person. I'm also gonna have to give some descriptions of me and this girl, just for incels, not for anybody else that's watching, just because you might find it weird, but I'll explain it in a bit. So basically the girl that I was talking to, she is a Stacy, is what you would call a Stacy, and I am what you would call a normie. I'm not a Chad, and I'm certainly not incel tier. I'm like down the middle, like the fucking warm ass porridge and Goldilocks. And you might be wondering, like, why do you even have to give yourself these definitions? And the reason being is because a lot of what they think, what incels think, is based around attractiveness, and in society it goes deeper into that, but I promise you the incels will get a lot more mileage off of knowing that than you guys will, or the other people who are watching this. You guys might find it ridiculous and stupid, and I think it is too, but it's just a way for them to gauge what's going on. and what the relationship between me and the girl was. I was gonna include some of her faults and why we aren't talking anymore, but I decided I'm just gonna stick to what I did wrong, mostly because I feel like it'll be better advice for you guys, you incels. Not because what she did wasn't important and what had happened, but because you gotta realize that what someone else is gonna do is completely out of your control, and you can't change that person or change their actions. And it's not that she was a bad person, she just had a lot of things going on that made things difficult for her, and some of the things that I did made things even more difficult for her. But the only thing you can really change is yourself, and that's what I want to focus on. Because whatever somebody else does, whatever they say, so be it. Because you can definitely control yourself and your actions with how you respond to things. And I feel like that's a lot more important than trying to put blame on others, even if they did have some blame. The importance is just trying to improve yourself as a person. So, this last April, I had met a girl, and we had began exchanging messages, and I learned a bit more about her, and I realized that she was the girl that I had been hoping for, waiting for. And just to make things short, I really like this girl a lot. Things started off really great. We hit it off, we connected very quickly, very easily, but soon things started to get a little bit difficult. And it was around that time that a lot of the faults that I have as a person started to come up. I've noticed that certain situations bring out the worst in people, and a certain situation that I was in certainly brought out my worst traits, and I didn't realize it until I decided to make a self-reflection and dig deep within myself to realize what I was doing and how I was acting was essentially wrong. What I had mentioned earlier about me making the effort for self-reflection, I want to talk about that first with you guys, and that part should be the first step, honestly. Knowing that you guys have a problem in the way that you think, and addressing them, because however you guys feel about society, about girls, blaming them for your issues, it's not gonna solve anything. Being bitter at everyone is not gonna solve anything. There's plenty of people who aren't that attractive, who are still happy with their lives, even dating other people. They're even getting laid as well. But they don't have the same mentality that you incels have, that you guys have. And I need to be real with y'all, like, don't you think that there's some kind of coincidence that you guys have labeled yourselves as incels and you'll never be able to get a girlfriend, or you won't be able to get laid because of whatever that you think? Don't you think that there's a coincidence that you have this thought just drilled into your head, and you've taken the red pill and you've decided this is how it is and I can't change it? Because I can guarantee that some of you incels honestly aren't that bad looking. No homo, I'm just playing, I don't care. And that's why I feel like with you guys, as it was with me, the first step was to realize that the way you think and your behaviors are just holding you back, and they're making things difficult for you. So I feel like after realizing, if you do end up taking my advice and digging deep within yourself and realizing that the way you think is an issue, and it introduces things that are just holding you back. And one of the things that I think that's holding you guys back is your insecurities. I'll give you an example. With this girl, I noticed I started getting insecure because of a few different reasons. They're not important, but I did start getting insecure, and it doesn't help being insecure in a relationship. I feel like there needs to be a balance also with reassurance and insecurity, because everyone's gonna have insecurities, but first knowing how to control your insecurities and not letting them get in the way or making you think that something's going on when it's not, and also the other person reassuring you that they're not going anywhere or that they really like you. But I know my insecurities caused me to overthink. It gave me anxiety. I accused her of not caring, and it wasn't really fair for me to say that, or for me to accuse her, just because I can't read her mind. I don't know what's going inside her head. I can only assume based off the circumstances, but accusing her wasn't the best thing to do. I could have just asked her about it. I could have just talked to her about it instead of straight up accusing her about it. But that's kind of why you guys should learn how to address your insecurities, just so that they don't get in the way when you do get a girlfriend, because when you guys get a girlfriend, these problems don't just go away just because you have a girlfriend. As you can see, I wasn't even dating this girl, and my insecurities were brought forth. So I'm not sure why you guys are insecure. Everybody has their own reasons to be. But learning how to, you don't have to get rid of them because it's really hard. Just not letting them affect your life as much as you let them, or dictate your life as much as you let them. And learning how to be happy with what you got, and learning that you guys have worth, no matter how ugly you think you are, no matter how short, fat, whatever. All you guys have worth, and knowing that is gonna be really important for you guys when you guys get a girlfriend. The next thing that I want to talk about is I've noticed that you incels and nice guys share this similar tendency of not knowing how to be ignored. You guys kind of don't, can't, what's that saying? Get a clue, I guess. A person doesn't need to tell you to stop talking to them, or that they don't want to talk. it'll be pretty evident if they don't answer you. You know, it's not 100% always like that. Maybe they're busy, if they're working, or if they have class, or if they're studying, a bunch of different reasons why they might not be answering. But if you have them in any other like social media and you notice that they're out, or they're doing stuff, or they're not doing anything at all, that you can just tell that they are ignoring you. You don't have to call them out for it. Just ignore it yourself. Just say fuck it. Cut your losses. There's no need to just be hung up over being ignored, because I had that problem too. I still have that problem. That's one of the reasons I guess I kind of have to get into it now. She would kind of ignore me sometimes. I would double, triple, quadruple text her. Sometimes thinking that I did something wrong. It was just not worth it. It's not that she was always ignoring me. She was busy. She was very busy. But even if she wasn't, there's no obligation for her to message me. She may show her feelings in different ways than texting. And she did. And so you guys kind of have to learn to let go, to learn how to be ignored, and to learn that if you are being ignored, to say fuck it. And if you aren't being ignored and you guys think so, just relax. Just wait it out. See what's going on, because I guarantee that if you hit it off with a girl and she's not responding, it is most likely because they are doing something that they just cannot get to their phone at that time. And I promise you, it'll make things a lot easier. This kind of goes into the next thing I want to talk about, which is overthinking. Because I know insecurities and being ignored don't mix well if you have a problem with overthinking, like I do. And even if you don't have a problem with overthinking, I feel like those two things combined can cause overthinking. And I know this happened to me a lot when I was talking to this girl. If she wasn't messaging me back, I would overthink and be like, oh, I did something wrong. Well, she doesn't want to talk to me because I did this, or she's ignoring me because of whatever, or she's hanging out with someone and she's not interested in me. Just so many times that I was overthinking things, and it was so, looking back, it's just so stupid. Had I just like calmed down, took some breaths and relaxed and let things play out, I would have gotten my answer that I was looking for. And things probably could have been avoided. Arguments could have been avoided. But learning how to not overthink. I'm not saying that all you guys have a problem with overthinking, but I'm saying when you guys get a girlfriend, this might be something that'll happen when you mix insecurities and being ignored together. I promise you guys that not letting your thoughts take control will help a lot, because a lot of the things that you guys are overthinking about, or that I was overthinking about, it's not true. It just isn't. It might be sometimes, but you have no proof, you have no evidence, you're just taking what you see and you're letting your mind process everything way more than it's needed. I feel like when that happens, your mind just exaggerates everything Not all the time. Sometimes it can be a good thing to think things out, but overthinking and letting what you overthought be the reality when it's not, it's definitely gonna hurt you guys.
Yeah.
And the last thing I want to talk about, it's mostly about me and not really like directed towards you guys. It's just that I feel like once you guys get that new experience, you guys are of getting a girlfriend, you guys might let your emotions run wild and not let you make decisions rationally. Just like as a warning, I guess, because I do feel like it'll be better if I do mention it and nobody uses it than if I don't mention it and somebody might need it. So what it is that I want to talk about is being what someone would call an emotional thinker, and letting your emotions get in the way with your thought process. And the reason I want to mention this, because I feel like all the stuff that I mentioned before can be very dangerous ways of thinking, but there's just something about when you let your emotions dictate your thoughts and your actions that things could get even worse. An example with me, I know there was one time with this girl, and almost instantly I regretted what I said, because it was not how I felt. Honestly, I remember the words leaving my mouth. It was basically instantaneous. I was like, what the fuck did I just say? Even worse than that was the fact that even though I had realized it at that point, I kept going, not attacking her, but the decisions I was making at that time, I couldn't stop them. My emotions were too far in. It wasn't only till after it was too late that I realized I probably made the biggest mistake that I was ever gonna make in my life, in terms of with another person. I know I'm only 20, but I really liked her a lot. And letting my emotions get to the point that it did, and me saying something like that, it was unlike me. And I've regretted it ever since. That's why I think that being an emotional thinker is probably the worst thing, the worst mistakes you could make. And out of all those changes, if you know that you're an emotional thinker, I'd probably work on that first. Maybe not first, but I would definitely give that one priority, just in case, because you never know when you're gonna find a girlfriend or be emotionally invested with somebody, and I don't want you guys to be making the same mistake that I made. And I don't want you guys to think that this change is gonna happen overnight, because it's not. None of the changes that I think you guys should make is gonna happen overnight. It's most likely not going to happen overnight, or even in a week. I was recently talking to my therapist, and she mentioned how once your mind goes down this type of process, and it's used to thinking this certain way, then your mind continues to go towards that path instead of this new path that you're trying to create for yourselves. So it's gonna take time and it's gonna require patience, but it'll happen if you guys make the effort. I'm still working on my overthinking and all the other problems that I have, but I'm working on them, and I feel like this is kind of a small journey that I'm going to be taking with you guys as well. Obviously we're not going to be having the same problems that we're getting over, but just because the problems that we're getting over are different doesn't mean that we can't be there for each other like a family. Although if this video does get attention, it's probably not the way things are gonna turn out. You guys are probably gonna call me a virtue signaling cuck like you guys do with base shaman. But I promise you guys, I'm not trying to get anything out of this other than helping you guys out, and hopefully using my experiences to show you guys that things really aren't the way you guys think they are. Alright, YouTube, that was my first video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully the next video will come out a lot sooner, and the video will be much shorter for you guys with a shorter attention span than 35 minutes. So alright, peace.